Hey guys, Mike here. So we get to go over your great questions and comments and everything like that. So feel free to jump in the comments and answer these yourself. Again, I'll answer what I can and give my opinion on the others. But you guys seem to be liking these, so we'll just continue to do them, and they're very easy to do. So I appreciate that, and you guys come up with some good stuff, right? So when I sift through these, and if you want to end the Saturday video, put that in the comments. Say, hey, can we get this a Saturday video so I can get this question answered for some people? Because I'm certainly not going to have all the answers, by the way. And we'll go into, NVDA, and there'll be some political stuff in here too. We're going to go into your questions about certain indicators, that kind of stuff. But I had to start off with this one. And, I know a lot of people who are parents watch this channel. I am a parent. And a lot of people who are not parents watch this channel. So when I saw this, it just came through like last night. But I saw this and I had to put this in here to get your opinion. And Brian Olson said, what has ruined kids and expecting a handout has ruined the American workforce. This is when we're talking about labor and stuff. The child labor laws. If you were 13, your friends had a job flipping burgers, making money and doing things with the money you earn, you would get a job also at the early age. But know they can only work to a certain time in the evenings and limited around hours you can work. So the kids stay home till 18 and 19 and ask mommy and daddy for money. In turn, they just keep doing this till peer pressure finally makes them work. Our wonderful politicians did this to our American kids and ruined the workforce starting in the early 90s. The reason why I approach this subject differently is because of my upbringing, okay? And so I remember working at 13, 14, 15, but then my first legal job was McDonald's, and then I started working 48 hours a week, right? And there were child labor laws in place, but Alabama didn't care. So I was working 6 days a week from like my sophomore year to graduation. And so I raised my kid differently. I don't believe in the whole thing, this is how I was raised, so I'm going to raise him this way, because the way I was raised was a hot mess. And so I've come a different approach to it. And my approach to my kid is simple. You get one childhood. That's all you get. You got the majority of your life, if you live a normal lifespan, to be an adult. Now, does that mean he's not going to work? Oh, yeah, he's going to work. Trust me. Before he gets legal age to work at 16, he will be learning this stuff, right? How to trade, how to sell options, all this other stuff. It'll be like a boot camp for him, okay? Then the plan is, and also before he gets legal age, we'll be sending him up to the family farm to shovel cow manure and all kinds of hardcore stuff and putting up barbed wire fences and all that crazy stuff because it's a family-owned farm, small farm. And so he gets to do all that work because I want him to know what it's like to build up calluses. I have permanent calluses on my hands. I don't know if you got those. And so I want him to know what it's like, right? So if he chooses to do that kind of work, he understands that's hard work, working in 100-degree, humidity, doing that kind of work. And then after that, and then he gets 16, I'll take him up to McDonald's myself because I want him to understand what it's like to deal with difficult people, because we have a lot of difficult people in this society. I remember dealing with them when I was 16. I think it's gotten even worse now. But I want to know I want him to understand that, how to deal with the public, how to give good customer service, how to put in a hard day's work on your feet, for 8 hours or whatever it is. But also, more importantly, my number one goal is obviously him to become a, good citizen in this country and everything. But I want him to look back at his childhood and say that was the best dang childhood anybody could ever have. I want him to enjoy it. The adult stuff will come. We'll teach you along the way. But no, I'm not, and so I agree with you partially for sure. But as far as, not having children at 13 going to flip burgers at McDonald's, I'm good with that. I got to be honest with you. I'm okay with that. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are on that one. I had to start that one out to get your feedback, as always. Enjoy it, because you know what? I'm always looking to be a better parent and improve on pretty much everything in my life. So I always enjoy the feedback. But that's just how my beliefs go with raising my son. Now, it gets us into Apple. So this is interesting. Apple is China's biggest employer. They don't want to ban them. This has been an overreaction. And I think even somebody has said right here, I just found out that the Wall Street Journal used one of anti-China blogger to report that iPhones are banned. And so it's basically what he's saying is it's not true. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out, because I don't live in China. I don't work in China. I don't know anybody in China. So if you do, and it's not true, try to let us know in the comments, because again, it doesn't make any sense they're doing it. But then again, a lot of stuff China does doesn't make sense to me. And so maybe I'm the only one. So let us know in the comments, will you? And so next one goes on here. It says, sorry, I am sure this is a dumb question, but can you please explain how you read the volume profile? The way I use it simply is it shows me, one, where there's levels of resistance support, where volume's coming in, right? Buying, selling, stuff like that. And you can see those volume gaps. That shows you where there's the least amount of volume. And the reason why that is, you can see how Palantir moves, right? It has these parabolic moves up and down. And so you see these huge gaps. and like it has held this level right here we talked about forever, because it pretty much everybody knows if it loses it, it's going down, right? It's going to hit 1370, then it's going to go to 10 if we break that level. So that's the way I use it. You can use it to set up support resistance levels. You know, there's different ways to use it. That's just the way I particularly like to use it, to keep it simple and stuff. But again, in the comments, if you have another way you use it, let them know. And guys, before we continue, if you get anything out of this, please hit that thumbs up down there. I really appreciate it. And if you like the material here and the videos, think about subscribing. The next one here comes from Claudio Lopez. And this one says, I'll skip all the stuff about me, but it says, I woke up to Roku news and checked the chart. A huge gap up on the minimal news for a stock that has not been strong lately. After it did not stay above the pre-market high, I waited for some more confirmation, looking for the gap fill to the downside. The market loves to fill gaps. That's what I'm, I guess, famous for saying now. I thought it might take a couple of days, but I bought put options just out of the money. It filled the gap today, and I sold with 285%. Thanks for your knowledge and sharing with us, and I'm so happy to hear that. And what he's talking about, if you're unaware, it was Roku the other day. Boom, pops up like 10%. Huge gap. Boom, ends up filling the whole gap and then just trading sideways from now on in. This is when they announced they were going to be doing a 10% layoff on employees and all that fun stuff. And so congratulations, love to hear it. And yes, gap fills are absolutely powerful. Now, Bill says the rumor mill has started about NVDA and stock earnings manipulation, BlackRock loaning one company money using chips as collateral, inside selling NVIDIA. If CNBC catches wind of it, it'll tank. And so it's isn't a rumor, and it's not them manipulating their earnings. Everything they're doing, as far as I know, is perfectly legal. I mean, I literally did a members video on September 5th for them with 2 different sources showing what they're doing. And again, as I said in Friday's video, if you didn't see it, I'm keeping it private for a reason, because I don't want anybody accusing me of trying to push down a stock. Not like this channel is big enough to even do that anyway. But still, it's one of the things, everything they're doing, I talked about this last Saturday when I told you guys what companies do legally. They pull forward earnings, they defer expenses, they do all kinds of accounting tricks that supposedly is legal, right? And these large firms like BlackRock, they do what they do too. So you can consider either manipulation, whatever you'll call it, but as far as I know, it's all legal. So there's nothing wrong with it. I just want to know, when people are saying, we've never seen anything like this before, and you're seeing those guidances go up that much and other companies aren't following, I want to know why. So I found the why, right? Doesn't mean anything's wrong with it. I just like to know the why. I was that kid who used to go, why, Mom? Why? Why do I have to do this? Why? Shut up, because I told you. Right? That's what Mom always told me. But I always want to know the why. And so now I know the why. So you may not be one of those people. You may just be like, whatever. I don't care how they're getting the revenue to jump that high, but I do. And so next we look at Trader Forever's comment. And he's talking about politics. And, I told you, when you see Mitch McConnell freezing and the president's falling down everywhere. And he said, if people feel the representative is incompetent, then I would think / hope they would vote them out of office. I absolutely died and laughed when I saw this comment. And the reason why is because people forget we have literally voted dead people into office, right? I mean, right here in Pennsylvania, this guy won 85% of the vote and he was dead. My other favorite one was this other gentleman died 3 weeks before the election, and he ended up winning as well. And so, yeah, as far as voting people out, no. I mean, as long as look, most people walk in the voter booth have no idea who's running. They just see a name they know, and unfortunately, they click the box. Or, my favorite one, they pick R and D. They don't even bother thinking who's running. They don't care. Okay, they just go for the party. That's probably the most popular one. And another thing is, it's not our fault. If you can't get the representatives out, it's not your fault. It's called gerrymandering. Look at these right here. The middle one, you can tell what state this is. It's Texas, not to single them out, but Texas is so easy to spot. And just look at some of these districts here. Look how they're drawing these. Trying to keep these representatives in, buddy. Look at that right there. And so it's called gerrymandering. And so about 12 states have outlawed it. But the reason why they do this is to stay in power, right? Alabama just got in trouble for doing it. There's one of the states up north, Michigan, Minnesota, whatever it is. They're actually going to try to throw a justice out because it would skew the court one way to where they might actually vote to have to redo the maps. And if they do that way, then they'll end up losing power, right? The state legislature. And that's really where the real power is at, these state legislatures. And so, it's a mess that if people even support this stuff. It makes no sense. So if you're wondering, you go, man, how come this person keeps getting reelected? That's because the maps. That's why, right? Whoever's in state power, both parties do it. They redraw the maps like that to keep people in power so they can keep the majority. And so it's sad, but when you can't win, I guess in a way legally or the right way, you cheat. That's what you do. Now, this one right here, I'm curious from my oil experts out there. This person says, drill, baby, drill. I vote for Trump or Vivek, and I don't care who you vote for or nothing. But what I'm curious about is this right here. I found these numbers. I found this multiple times now. One of you guys even sent this to me months ago, and I didn't say anything about it. But this right here shows that the Biden administration approved 6,430 permits for oil and gas drilling on public lands in the first 2 years, outpacing the Trump administration, who did 6,172. And that article I'm quoting actually is trashing President Biden because they're more of a green initiative type organization, and they're saying this guy's going against what he said he was going to do. But I'm curious, one, I found that on multiple sites, multiple sources, even the government sites, saying that's true. And so one, I want to know, is that true, or am I missing something on that? And two, to me, and I've been saying it for like over a year now, because I've been listening to these earnings calls from these CEOs, these oil companies, but it's like they don't want to drill anymore. They don't want to increase supply because that would be terrible business for them, right? That would increase supply, and if demand's here and you increase supply, prices drop. And so they're not expecting an increase in demand. So the last thing they want to do is start drilling, baby, drilling, and increasing a whole bunch of supply, right? Because that's just bad business for them. They want to keep prices high as they can. They don't care what it does to me and you. They don't care what it does to gas prices, fertilizer prices, none of that mess. They don't care, right? Same with the Middle East. They don't care. It's about lining their pockets. That's good business for them, and so I don't blame them from a business perspective. Humanitarian perspective, not so much, because you're obviously going to raise prices on people that can't afford it. That's great and cost us money. But, I just want to know if that's true or not. And it makes sense to back up my thesis where I don't care if Santa Claus is president and they put 100,000 permits out there for him to use and even, escort them out there in a limousine. They're not going to drill anymore, right? So I could be wrong, because I know some of you guys follow oil closely, so let me know what you think. And take the politics out of that, by the way, because people get skewed by the politics. We make everything political. We made a virus political. So, I'm talking about just straight up business, and is the permits, is that number correct? And why aren't they drilling? That's just the question I want, the answer I want. So please let me know. Now, Daniel asks, didn't Social Security used to be a separate trust, not part of the national budget? And so here's the truth about Social Security. One, yes, it still has the Social Security Trust Fund, right? But the federal government rated it back in, I think it was the 60s. And so what they do is they borrow this money and then pay it back with interest. And the things you really need to know about Social Security is this right here. Starting in 2010, the Social Security Trust Fund started running cash deficits, which means we're not bringing in enough versus what we're paying out, okay? And so, obviously, when this happens, the Fed has to borrow money to make up for that difference. As you can see, it says that Social Security runs those cash deficits. The trust fund will redeem their Treasury securities, and the Treasury will have to borrow funds from the public to cover the shortfalls. Now, for future people who want Social Security, listen up closely. Social Security Board trustees estimated in its most recent annual report that the combined trust funds will run out of cash reserves by 2034, but that does not mean the program will go broke, because it really doesn't matter if it runs out of money or not. We're going to do, think about it. They're using money out of the trust fund to pay for defense spending, schools, education, all this stuff. And so what will they do with Social Security? They'll just have to do the same thing. We'll just run bigger deficits, right? Now, of course, the way to get rid of this, we talked about, there is no Medicare cap as far as income for you to get Medicare, right? Because the rich get sick too, and that's what they want. But over $167,000, every dollar over that, they don't get taxed Social Security. So if you lifted that cap, we're good to go for the rest of your life. That's the way it is. But of course, they're not going to do that. Why? Because the people making the laws are multimillionaires and billionaires now. They used to not be that way. Now they are. So of course, who do you think actually got that cap put in place? Because again, I always go back to tell people, if you have two accountants make pretty dang good money, and they know the tax law at the back of their hand, so they know finances, right? If each one of them, and I've met couples who are married and have their own business in accounting, let's say they're both making $150K a pop, they're bringing in $300K total in the household. Well, they're paying the full freight on every dollar they make in Social Security. You really think two accountants who are successful accountants need Social Security when they get older and retire? No, but they're paying 100% of their income into, so every dollar is taxed the max Social Security, right? And if they have their own business, they're paying the whole full freight of it, right? I found that out the hard way when you get your own business. And so, it's even almost worse for them on the Social Security front. And so they can make the argument, but nobody's listening. Nobody cares. Because why? They're not writing checks. They ain't got big enough checks to write to pay these guys off in Washington to, either lower the cap, raise the cap, get rid of the cap, whatever. And so we'll just keep hearing about this forever and a day. And the reason why it's running these cash deficits is because as the baby boomer generation, which obviously was the largest generation, retire, and they're retiring a whole bunch from, like, I don't know, 7 years ago all the way to 2030, I believe, is when every single baby boomer will be eligible for retirement. And people are having what? Less kids now, right? Which means less taxpayers paying into the system. Hopefully that makes sense, guys. I really do appreciate all your questions. Please give me your feedback in the comments and stuff. I always enjoy reading them as my dogs are going crazy inside. Sorry about that. And so hope you guys are out of it. Please hit the like and subscribe button you did so more people can find the video and maybe they'll participate as well. So anyway, see you guys tomorrow.